everyone, it is Pal Pondron Weather coming at you with another update. In this video, we're going to talk about where I think the places that are going to receive snow in the month of November. I apologize, I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I'm going to try to get through this. If you do like weather-related content, please consider subscribing to my channel, as it will definitely help me out and to continue my passion to bring you the weather, which I love to do. All right, so let's get started. So here's some of the teleconnections, how I for the first couple of weeks in November, and you can see a lot of the teleconnections are turning negative, like the NAO, which I follow a lot, the AAO, and as well as the PNA. So when you get that combination of the NAO going negative, along with the Arctic Oscillation going negative, but the PNA going positive, that's a sign that that cold air will actually funnel down to the United States, not only funnel down, but actually reach all the way down into Mexico and then eventually swing off to the east, where I think about 2/3 of the country are going to be well below normal temperatures for November. So I think we're setting up for a pretty cold pattern setting up for the month of November. But we've had no help with the models. So here's one of the Euro models, a seasonal model. Now, guys, there's 112 models that run daily. It'll drive you crazy if you watch all of them. All right. But this is kind of like, this is a model that was showing a couple of weeks ago where it had a lot of the warmth in the 2/3 of the United States. So for whatever reason, the models can't see past 2 weeks. So, I mean, obviously it goes downhill after 2 weeks as far as the predictability, but it doesn't have a great grasp on seeing the cold outside of 2 weeks. And so when the latest Euro model for the month of November now has literally flipped to 180, and it's showing pretty much well below normal temperatures for the eastern parts of the United States, all the way down south. And even now, I still think it's a lot underdone. I think it's going to, this cold air is going to funnel all the way down into even in the deep south, well into Florida. Yes, Florida, you're probably going to get a freeze coming up in about 10 days, and at least in the panhandle. But this will swing all the way to the east coast, and all the way to the northeast. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. Here's some of the longer range JMA model. Now this thing's flipped too. So what it was showing about a couple weeks ago was well above average. Now it's flipped to cold. So it's got that below normal pattern setting in for the month of November, which it's just now getting going, and I think will intensify as we go deeper into the month of November. So here's the 500 millibar pattern. This is basically around the 8th, coming up this weekend. This is, we have a strong cold front, this blocking high. This is going to be a pattern that's going to be pretty much notorious for, I think, the majority of winter, where, we're in a low solar, year where you get that high latitude blocking. We've had record warmth in Alaska, and you create this ridge over the top, which has the perfect setup for the flow to funnel in colder air deep into the United States. Now on Thursday, this cold air will travel all the way down to the deep south and swing up and create a trough in the northeast, where I think a lot of you guys that have not seen snow yet in the northeast, you've been really patient. I think by far, a lot of the areas are going to see your first snowfall. I know in the Boston area, I'm looking for some snow for sure. And we'll kind of delve in deeper in that at the end of the video. I've got a snow map for you. But here's the latest SOI index. Now, if you're with me, I always look at this. This is a leading indicator. This is the Southern Oscillation Index. So if you're with me back in the middle of September, when this thing crashed to a -8 on the SOI, we talked about a leading indicator where it would bring above average precipitation for the south and southeastern parts of the United States, activating that Pacific jet. So what ended up happening is, yes, we did have confirmation. We had above average precipitation. I know in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we are above average, as well as a lot of the areas in the south and southeast, and brought much needed rainfall for those areas. Now, check it out. And so we've had a kind of a rebound. And so this is the daily average, and of course this is a leading indicator. But this thing has caught my attention because we were a +2 on November 1st, dropped to a -2, and then a -10, and then last night when it updated was a -34. Now, this is about a 2 weeks out. This is a lag indicator, but what this tells me is that Pacific jet's probably going to get active again, which is going to funnel more moisture into the south and southeast and eventually to the northeastern United States. But this time it's November and not September, or not in October. So we're much colder, right? So we could even, intensify this snow event later deeper into the month with this leading indicator of the SOI index. And here's the latest 500 millibar parameter in the latest GFS ensemble member. This is the 17th. Okay, so this is 2 weeks from now, but it's kind of actually already picking up on that, where you see down here that the Pacific jet is potentially becoming active, and this pattern reloads. That we had that first one swing through around the 8th. We have potentially another one swing through around the 12, 13, 14 time frame, which probably going to bring some of the coldest air of the season for much of the 2/3 eastern parts of the United States. And then it might reload again, 2 weeks from now, where it's showing that ridge again out east or out west, and that trough digging into the northeast, where we could, activate more snowfall for the mid-Atlantic states as well as the Northeast. But all this is kind of setting the stage, coming into winter. My analogs are always been since August was 2013, 2014, 14, 15, 1978, 79. I have not deviated from that, and it's always been a blend. And this pattern is looking remarkably similar to November of 2014. And this is how it kind of looked back in the second and third week of 2014, where it had that extreme cold pumping into the United States, digging all the way down to the deep south, bringing 20s all the way down to San Antonio and even Houston area. And even that cold, yes, Florida, we're not leaving you guys out this time. I do think Florida gets a freeze, especially in the panhandle, but a lot of that cold air will even pump as far south as the middle, the central Florida. So, I mean, we're talking potentially highs in the 50s. I'll go over some of the temperatures in later videos throughout the week, but I kind of want to give you the idea of the setup that I think is going to happen for November. And here's the overall ocean temperatures. And these are warm Gulf waters, and we need that to tap into. So when I'll show you on the next frame, this warm water in the Northeast is going to play a key role in the snow amounts coming up for the much of November, as well as this, ridge of high pressure over the Northeast, over the Alaskan high, which is going to keep pumping that cold air, reloading every couple of days and pumping more cold air deep into the United States. But sorry, I'm a little congested, guys, so bear with me. So what's going to happen is you always get what I call convergence, or what they call baroclinic boundary. Now, you saw the warm water in the ocean off the Northeast, and we've got that ridge, that Alaskan ridge, where we've got basically rising air. We're pumping in that Gulf moisture, and we got sinking air on the backside. Well, that's going to mix, and so you create this kind of convergent zone, or what they call a baroclinic boundary, where you could, around that thermal ridge, where it could intensify that snow amounts coming up within that convergence zone, wherever that might line up. So I'm looking for that to happen, setting up somewhere along the Northeast coast, coming up in the month of November, and it'll change spots with each system, but it'll have heavy training snow bands along those systems. where that convergent boundary is. But here's kind of an overall outlay of the extreme temperatures digging down all the way down to the south, all the way down to the panhandle with this jet stream, and eventually digging off to the north and northeastern parts of the United States. But here's the overall snow amount or snowfall where I think is how it's gonna play out in the month of November, and you can see it's a pretty good chunk of the country where I expect snow to fall in the month of November. So much of the Northeast is, parts of Maine, a lot of the guys have not even seen any snow this year. So this is all going to probably happen in the next 25 days. And some of these places could get moderate. So we have that first initial system come in around the 8th time frame to bring us a snow band, probably along the East Coast, somewhere around Boston. I expect, potentially a couple inches at least. It could be six inches plus in parts of along the coast here, where that barometric clinic zone, convergent boundary sets up, where we kind of get that clash in the warm and cold temperatures. But all along here, where we in the moderate snow category, you're going to be picking up some good snow amounts all in this area in Montana, Wyoming, and all of the Dakota states, Nebraska, Kansas. Denver's going to get a lot more snow again. And of course, Wisconsin and Michigan, and this lake effect too. This lake effect is going to be a game changer in the month of November, where it really starts to kick in probably sometime this weekend on the backside of that first initial system. So we had those, really warm September, and this is going to be a key setup with this gradient winds aligning itself. And so I'm looking for a heavy lake effect snow bands setting up sometime this weekend. I think this will continue in the month of November. So, but that snow is actually going to follow, for the deep south too, and it's going to filter into the, Idaho, Washington, parts of Oregon, Nevada, and Utah, even all the way down to Mexico. So I think the Panhandle is going to see snow. You've already seen a lot of snow, about 6 inches so far in Amarillo, but that's going to dig a little further south into Lubbock area and a little further south into Oklahoma City. I don't think it makes it to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's where I kind of draw the line. There's only been essentially 7 years out of the 120 that have received snow in the month of November. It's not like it can't happen, but the percentages are less than 10%. Okay. So you're going to get your chance, but it's probably not going to happen in November. So I don't think you're going to get any snow in southern Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, obviously Houston, deep south, Florida. You're going to get cold, but we're talking snow here. Atlanta, Alabama, South Carolina, but North Carolina, I do think you're going to get at least some light snow. Virginia into West Virginia, and then Kentucky, parts of Tennessee, Missouri. So all those states, I do think you're going to at least get into the lighter snow amount. So that'll kind of give you an idea how I think where places are going to get some snow for this upcoming November. If you did find value in this video, definitely please consider subscribing to my channel. It definitely helps me out. And also click the bell so you can get notified on when my next video is going to be. I do try to make about 4 to 5 videos a week. And tomorrow I'm going to go over the temperatures. So definitely subscribe to my channel and stay tuned to the next video where I protect you before and after the storm.